Alrighty, so this would be my first official piece. I am, well, Seraphim, as it is, and I have just heard about something. I had heard bits about it before, but I had no idea there was legislation involved here about manspreading, the labeling of men basically sitting comfortably as a negative aspect, a negative connotation. For those who don't know, men have testicles, they're sitting outside the body, and it is a natural need to have unrestricted blood flow to said areas. So when men sit wide-legged, forming V's, whatever, they actually need to do so to prevent pain and or discomfort by sitting with their legs tightly together. Alrighty, so this would be my first official piece. I am, well, Seraphim, as it is, and I have just heard about something. I had heard bits about it before, but I had no idea there was legislation involved here about manspreading, the labeling of men basically sitting comfortably as a negative aspect, a negative connotation. For those who don't know, men have testicles, they're sitting outside the body, and it is a natural need to have unrestricted blood flow to said areas. So when men sit wide-legged, forming V's, whatever, they actually need to do so to prevent pain and or discomfort by sitting with their legs tightly together. I understand some men can sit in this fashion, but for the majority of what I would call real men, we need such positioning. For myself, it is rather discomforting to sit in a very tight fashion. Now, obviously, we can maneuver slightly together if we're on, say, crowded subways for the whole New York City piece. The legislation, the MTA's ad campaign to stop the spread, quote unquote, and give credence, or attempts to give credence to the idea that only men take up space, that, again, an extremely sexist, which is fairly standard in today's, well, world as it is, especially the westernized sections, but only men can commit atrocities or anything negative. So within that realm of manspreading, men take up a lot of space on the very heavily trafficked transit systems. This does not take into regard women and their hordes of bags, and they usually placing the bags next to them, giving themselves space. People with, fat people, overweight, those who take up a lot more than one seat by virtue of them simply existing there. Large bags, with the exception of, travel to airports or long distances, what have you, for extended stays. I really see no problem with it. If I need to sit to be comfortable, that's fine. You walk up to me and say, hey, can you move over? Perfectly viable. That's fairly normal. But it is a general female tactic to make a natural male action into something negative. Again, the demonization of men. It exists. Everything that men do is wrong. They'll find they, as in women, feminist groups, those that seek to make men more in line, they must toe the line to follow their traditional roles and kowtow them or make them placate to the system. I don't want to go off on a major tangent on that capacity. That could be for something later. But in essence, men are freelance. We do what we want to do as we feel it is necessary. We're not necessarily obedient. We don't really just go along with the flow. We have our own ideas and we express them, and oftentimes it seems very curt and rude when we say, well, this is what I believe, get over it. But it's not meant to be that way. It's just we are far more forceful and assertive than, generally speaking, women are. Majority of women are very quiet. They'll sit back, they'll hang out, and expect someone to change things for them with enough complaining. And unfortunately, the system in place now, as shown by the New York City legislatures and their political voices there, and I wouldn't even say it's activism, it's just women complaining gains attention. It's as if women's, or complaining matters, which it really doesn't. Complaining means nothing. You have a bitch about something, great. Why? Can you explain specifically why it matters in the overall course of things? Now, this manspread nonsense, if you are making such a campaign to enliven the idea of make space for others, which is perfectly fine, then apply it to everyone and everything that is on said subways or transit systems, trains, whatever. Large strollers, carriers, things like that. Don't let that on there either. As stated before, overweight/obese people, women, and their large hoarded bags that they generally carry. Yes, they can put them in their lap, but oftentimes they will have them on the seat next to them to give them a little bit more space. People want their personal space, especially in a tight, confined area. Apply it to everyone equally. That is the only way to make it work, really. But this is more shaming, and that is unfortunately very, very common. It's so common that people don't even recognize it anymore. No one acknowledges it because it is just there. It is part of the everyday culture to deride, run men down. The idea that men are not worthy, that they're really not worth a damn. You can ignore them. They are the workers sitting, on the side of the road. They're the ones building things, construction workers, sewer maintenance, trash picker-uppers, what have you. They're the ones who do all the dirty work to ensure that society functions as it needs to, so that the luxury